Fluent and Chill, Super Bowl edition. I'm Anthony K of Sports Fluent. He's Jay from Chilltown Hoops. Jay, I don't know ever to call you OG, Jay, Jermaine, Chilltown. You have too many names, man.
We've developed a relationship where now you call me by my first name. You call
Actually,
me
I don't even call you that anymore. I call you Jay because I'm lazy.
So we've developed a relationship where you
call me Tone. You
right,
don't even call me. Yeah, that's fair.
Develop a relationship. So
you know what it reminds me of? I think it was Method Man. I think it was an intro to one of them, either one of his solo joints or like one of the Wu-Tang where he's like, AKA, blah, 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 AKA, and he does like 20 AKAs. That, like, do you remember that one? I'm right? It was Method Man, right? Yeah, that's what it reminds me. OG, AKA Jermaine. Oh, AKA J. All right, so let's start this again. We probably can't. Let's just kick it right in. All right, we got a huge, obviously, the biggest game of the year in the NFL. It's Super Bowl. We've got the Los Angeles Rams. I always want to call them something else. The Los Angeles Rams against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hold on, Tom. Say that one more time. Against who?
Against the Cinderella Cincinnati Bengals.
The Bengals?
I don't know. I didn't realize this. I was having a conversation with someone. I said, wouldn't it be nice for the Bengals? And we're going to get to this in a second. But wouldn't it be nice for them? They've never won a Super Bowl. That franchise has never won. And I said, yeah, the list will start to shrink. But you know what? The list is actually kind of big.
Huge.
Do you know how many teams have never won a Super Bowl?
Well, let's see here.
Now, you can, if you want to name them, but I just, do you know the number?
It's at least half the league.
Oh, it's just a little bit less than half. There's 32 teams in the NFL.
Right.
12 teams have never won a Super Bowl.
Wow. So a little less than half the league. Right.
So only 20 teams have won Super Bowls. I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
I think now there's some expansion teams, and look, they're not, the Jags, the Panthers, they're not in the Texans, in the grand scheme of things, right? They haven't been around as long, but I still find it pretty incredible that it's 12 that has. I was really surprised when I thought the number was like 7,
right?
And it's 12. So it'd be great for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Rams were just in a Super Bowl not too long ago. They got out coached. So what I want to do is we're going to start the show. Actually, we're going to end the show with our picks.
Yep. A
score. If you want, I'm going to even tell you how I think it's all going to go down. So how we're going to win. We're going to talk about who's the most important player or players for each team to win and or lose. But for the first time, we're going to flip our typical agenda, and we're going to start with your questions. We're going to start with mail drop. So here we go. Mail drop. Question number 1. Will Joe Mixon be the deciding factor in this game?
I started with, you asked me this question a couple of days ago, who was going to be the X factor? And I thought it would be Azuma, right? Because him being matched up with those linebackers, him being matched up with Von Miller, and him being matched up against Aaron Donald, I thought that he would be the X factor. But when I think about what exactly it is that they do, they are a running team. Joe Mixon ran for almost 1,300 yards this season, right? Not only that, he's very durable. And they've shown, the Rams have shown that you can run against them. The 49ers proved that you can absolutely run against them. So I'm looking at this being a very run-heavy game to start the game. I would not be surprised if they just continuously fed Joe Mixon. And I can appreciate that off that defensive line of the Rams. They're going to continue to go at Joe Mixon. They're going to continue to go at Joe Burrow, and that offensive line for the Cincinnati Bengals is weak. Well, it can't be that weak. I mean, Joe Mixon did run for over 1,300 yards, so it can't be that bad. There are some people blocking up there. So when I look at that offensive line, I look at Joe Mixon, and I look at their ability to run against the Rams. I think he could be the difference. He may even be the Super Bowl MVP, Tone. I'm saying it.
You stole my thunder. So what's the best way? To protect a quarterback whose offensive line isn't great in pass protection that gives up a lot of sacks? Well, there's 2. 1, quick passes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Quick, short passes. So we do that. The other one is a successful running game. Because if they're running the ball, well, now they're not all out coming at your quarterback. They have to, even that second of hesitation will give Joe Burrow enough time to make a throw.
Mm-hmm.
So is he the most important player? I'll say this. If the Cincinnati Bengals win, he will be the MVP because he'll have to be. Because he will have to be. He'll need a 120 plus yard game with a touchdown or two, because the other side of that is when you're running the ball, you're eating up clock. And although you know how I feel about Matthew Stafford, we'll get to him in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
If you're running, if their offense is still can be explosive, he still can throw the ball deep. OBJ is still is a threat deep.
Mm-hmm.
Even Van Jefferson, we don't talk about him at all, but he's a threat deep. And we know what Cooper Kupp has done all season long. So, yeah, you don't want them with that opportunity. And as it's interesting because you said this last week or 2 weeks ago. You said, I don't think the Bengals want to get into a shootout with the Chiefs.
I didn't.
But they did.
Yeah.
And they won. So part of me is like, well, maybe they're okay getting in a shootout with the Rams too. But I'm like, nah, this is the Super Bowl. Everything seems to get always a little bit tighter, right? It's a little bit slower. We don't always get what we expect in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to say, not that they don't want to get in a shootout. I think they're going to try and stay away from.
I don't know about that, Tone. And the reason why I don't know that, because I'm looking at the quarterback and I'm looking at Joe Burrow, and he doesn't look like he minds getting. He's
not scared of anything.
He looks like, give me the football
and
I'll take us down the field. So if you want to get into a shootout with us, we can absolutely do that.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying I don't think they're going in trying to get into a shootout.
Right.
Listen, they're like this. Listen, I'm going to the bar, and I'm going to the bar to have a couple of drinks and have fun. I'm not looking to get into trouble.
No.
But if trouble finds me, come on, we good. We can throw down. We good. Yeah. Like that's how I feel about Joe Burrow. Yeah, I'm just gonna go have a beer. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, all right.
And because I'm with this guy, I don't mind if trouble shows up. If I'm with this guy,
I got Chase and Mixon. I'm feeling pretty good.
I'm with this guy, so no problem. Let's get it on.
All right. So Joe Mixon gonna be a factor, we think, especially if the Bengals have a chance of winning. Mm-hmm. All right. This one, this one's a big question. And you can give me a couple of answers because I'm sure you'll probably have a couple of answers. Who will a Super Bowl win or loss have the most effect on their legacy? And I'll say it one more time, just be clear, give you a second. Mm-hmm. Who will a Super Bowl win or loss have the biggest impact on their legacy?
Well, I think we'll have to start talking about Von Miller a little bit differently if they win it. Yeah, we're going if they win, we'll have to start talking about him a little bit differently. He's already one of the best pass rushers that we've seen. But if they were to win it and he were to be the deciding factor, we now have to start talking about him completely differently, because now that would be in the past 7 years. That'd be 2 bowl games, right? 2 of them. And if I'm not mistaken, I mean, they basically rolled on Carolina. So with that being said, I'm looking at, I believe he was the Super Bowl MVP. If I'm not mistaken,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty. We have to double check that, but it sounds about right.
Sure, I'm pretty confident he was the Super Bowl MVP. So if they would have won it again, and it would be on the strength of him, we would definitely have to start talking about Von Miller a little bit differently. If they lose, I can't say that we'll talk about Matt Stafford any differently. And the reason why I say that is because, and I've said this to you a number of different times, Tone, Matt Stafford, I know who you are. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit. But we will have to start talking about Aaron Donald differently, because now we're talking about a guy who arguably the best defensive player in the history of the NFL, and we start talking about him in the same category with Lawrence Taylor. And for them to lose again and for him not to be a factor in the biggest game, I think this would affect him tremendously. Now, when I'm looking at, I really don't expect much. I haven't expected much from Matt Stafford, because again, Tone, I know him. I know who he is. And he is going to reintroduce himself to me at some point in this game. He might come out super sharp, but he is going to reintroduce himself to me at some point in this game. So I don't think that a loss would affect him nearly as much as it would affect those other 2 guys.
So when I read this question, I had the immediate thought wow, all the pressure's on the Rams. All the pressure is on the Rams because if the Bengals win, okay, it vaults Joe Burrow a little bit higher into that, one of the great young quarterbacks discussion, but he's there already. He's there already just for getting there. Joe Mixon, I don't think Super Bowl win. We know who he is. Again, he's young. Zach Taylor, good young coach, got them to the Super Bowl. That's you got through. It's really the win against the Chiefs. I'm not saying that the Raiders and the Titans win aren't important. They are. But you got by the Chiefs in your second year with Joe Burrow, first healthy season, full season of Joe Burrow. You got to the Super Bowl. So I think for them, a win or a loss, listen, if they lose, wow, man, it was great that they got there. If they win, what an incredible run. I think either way, they're a success. The Rams, and you brought up a lot of those names, but let me run down the list. You mentioned Von Miller. If he plays well and wins another Super Bowl MVP, absolutely. He moves up. But if they lose, Von Miller, I don't think it affects him as much if they lose. I don't think Von Miller, they'll say, hey, we brought him in. But okay, he's already a Super Bowl MVP. It's probably not going to be a loss on his. It's not going to be his fault, is my point, is if they lose. Aaron Donald, and you agree or disagree with this, regardless of Super Bowl wins, he's viewed as one of the greatest defensive players ever. Whether you agree or disagree with that, I don't think the Super Bowls actually affect him as much as one of the guys you mentioned and another guy. So Matthew Stafford, if he wins, because I've been hearing everybody say this, it now vindicates him. It validates his career because now people will say, which some people are already saying, the only reason he was unsuccessful was because he was on the Detroit Lions. And let's be honest, that franchise has issues. Right. The second he comes to LA, has a coach, has weapons. He has a great season. They go to the Super Bowl and they win. Yeah, see, Matthew Stafford can be a great quarterback, especially if he plays like he's played throughout the playoffs, right? Like if you think about it up until the last game, now the last game I know he threw the pick, but no picks in the first two games. And so his touchdown to interception ratio looks good overall. So if he has another 3 touchdown, 1 interception game and they win, hey, you know what? Maybe we've been too hard on Matthew Stafford. That's going to be the narrative. Sean McVay. And Kyle Shanahan has his number. Everybody talks about how the 49ers had, Kyle Shanahan has outcoached him multiple times. However, Sean McVay of the Zach Taylors, the Kyle Shanahans, of these young quarterbacks, Sean McVay is the only one that has a winning record in the regular season and a winning record in the playoffs. Right? He went to the Super Bowl, and let's be honest, he got outcoached.
He wasn't prepared for that.
Bill Belichick outcoached him like nobody's business. And listen, there's no shame in that because it's Bill Belichick. Okay. Well, if you come in and you get outcoached by Zach Taylor, now I'm starting to question your offensive genius. Now I'm starting to question, the boy genius, as they call him, right?
Right.
Because if he loses, well, maybe his way hey, it's good. Maybe it's like Mike D'Antoni, right? Really good up to a point, can't win you a championship. If he wins, however, well, now he becomes winning record in the regular season, winning record in the playoffs, and a Super Bowl champ with Matthew Stafford. Man, that's maybe that move from Goff to Stafford made sense. But if he lose, well, yeah, you got the Super Bowl and lost with Goff. So who cares? You brought in Stafford. Big deal. All you did was trade away some first round picks. So I think in order, Stafford and McVay are actually the ones who gain and possibly lose the most with a win or loss. So this is why, right? I feel like Cincinnati's coming in loose.
Well, we know that they are, Tone. They're absolutely coming in loose because, again, we're talking about a team who was 2-14 2 years ago, 4-12 last season. So anybody to tell you that, I had Cincinnati in the bowl game this year, you make sure, let me step back from you because I don't want to get hit in the face with your nose, your Pinocchio nose, because you lying. You did not have the Cincinnati Bengals in the bowl game. You was in Vegas. You was drunk one night and you said, hey, I'm going to bet on Cincinnati to win the Super Bowl this year because there's no way anybody had the Cincinnati Bengals considering what they had done the season before that. We don't know who Joe Burrow is, Tone. We don't. He had torn up his knee last season. He was on his way to a great season. He possibly was on his way to Offensive Rookie of the Year, on his way to a great season. Joe Mixon was a young guy, right? T. Higgins was also young, and he was inconsistent. Boyd was a young guy. So we didn't really know who they were. And on top of that, in the words of Bill Parcells, your record tells us who you are. So with that being said, 4-12, the next season at best, considering they're in that division with Baltimore, with Pittsburgh, with Cleveland, we would have been good with 8-8. We would have been fine with 8. Well, they're getting better. Nobody had them going to the bowl game, let alone winning it. So they're playing with house money. That's the idea right now. If we could go into this thing and we can get it and we could keep it close, maybe they'll crack at the end. Maybe the Rams, maybe we can force Matt Stafford into something that he doesn't want to do, or we could force McVay into making a bad coaching decision when we get it close. So they're playing with house money. They're not coming into this like, oh my God, we're in the Super Bowl. What are we going to do? No, they absolutely believe we got a real good shot at winning this thing.
It's interesting you brought up Burrow being young, Higgins, Boyd. They also draft Jamar Chase, who a lot of people said, whoa, what are you doing? He said he can't even see or catch the ball. Other people he said he couldn't see the ball without the stripe, and the previous coach said he couldn't catch, and everyone was screaming, get him an offensive lineman. But you went with Chase, his former teammate. Worked out pretty well. But at the beginning of the season,
him being a bust. They were talking about him being a bust.
They talked about him being a bust. To your point, right? There was no. So I find that interesting that you're right. It's just I think they come in really loose. So I don't know where we are in terms of time, but I'm going to say we're about halftime of the show. So, question number 3, a mail drop. Will this be the greatest halftime show ever? And let me just recap it. Dr. Dre, the Snoop, D-O-double-G, Eminem, Mary J. I love you, Mary.
Oh, and by the way, we're just throwing this dude in. The last one, we're going to throw him in, by the way.
Well, I love you, Mary. All right. And then Kendrick Lamar.
We're just going to throw him in.
I heard he's pretty good. I'm an old guy. I don't know too much about it. I heard he's pretty good. That's, man.
We're just gonna throw him in. So with the 4 that we got, we're gonna call him up. Hey, my man, what you doing this weekend? You want to come rock at the Super Bowl? I feel like I'm putting a team together, right? I put in like a so I called up Magic, I called up Jordan, I called up Larry, I called up Hakeem, and then I was like, oh, you know what? We need a 5th. Hey, LeBron, you available? Yeah, come on down. You good? Yeah, come on down.
Yeah, come on down,
you can rock with us. I'm thinking about Prince rocking at the Super Bowl. That was incredible.
Yeah, Prince was good.
Let's see.
Do you remember? Didn't Michael Jackson?
Michael Jackson.
Do you remember that one? That was it was a long time ago. Do you remember that one?
It was a long time ago. I don't remember it like it was yesterday, but I do remember him rocking at the Super Bowl. Run DMC Run DMC. Who was that? The band that they rocked?
Aerosmith.
When Aerosmith rocked at the Super Bowl, they were fantastic. Absolutely. So Beyonce rocked at the Super Bowl. Of all the people who rocked at the Super Bowl, Tone, for the record, I haven't been more excited about a halftime show than I am about this, because this is our era of music. Mary J. Blige, Dr. Dre, da-da-da-da-da. It's the one and only D-O-double-G, Snoop Dogg. Oh my God, I'm so excited about that. Yo,
and it's interesting because we all know the songs, like even the younger people, the older people.
Yeah.
Honestly, it doesn't even matter what color you are. Like everybody will know. Like when you da 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 da. And it was funny. I keep seeing these memes. Like these kids are gonna find, like in the burbs. I'm talking about.
Yes.
They're gonna find out who their parents really are.
Yes.
Right? Like when my parents see me, like when my kids, see me at the halftime show, be like, Dad,
just so you know, he wasn't always your father. Just so you know,
you don't know about them 90s.
No, he was not always your dad.
I want to bring up one other name because someone told me this was great. I went back and watched it. It was actually Lady Gaga was actually really good too. So there's people like that who put on great shows.
Right.
But I don't think Janet Jackson, Justin Timberlake was good. I love Janet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the collection of people, if they do this right. Because these guys have collabed, they've all collabed before anyway. So there's a lot of, it's interesting. I think there's so many. I hope it's entertaining. I hope they because I hate when there's this big build up to something. And then it's just like, like if Dr. Dre would just come out and be like, okay, and then Snoop Dogg comes out and then Mary J.
Kind of like the trade deadline. Like we get so excited about the trade.
Yeah, we get so excited. So if they just come out and kind of do,
nothing.
but like when the ones that have been the best is when they're all collabing, when they're doing, taking whatever, things we know about them and like putting a twist on it, like that type of stuff. That's gonna be. I put a little compilation together. I'll show it. I'll send it to you actually. But unfortunately, I posted it on TikTok and I got banned for copyright infringement.
Right.
But I did like this whole thing where it started with Eminem and I actually mixed in. I'm not a DJ by any means, so I got very lucky that the beats lined up. But I mixed in Eminem right into this Mary J, and I took clips from their live performances, so it looked like it was the Super Bowl halftime show. And I clipped in Mary straight from Mary into a concert that Dr. Dre did, where he comes on stage, excuse me, one of it like with his lowrider, and he's got the hydraulics bouncing, and he gets out, and then it goes right into now he introduces Snoop, and then it's Snoop at a different concert, and then Snoop's telling you to raise your hands, and just as Snoop says that, Lamar says, "Put one hand up, put two hands up," and it goes right into Kendrick Lamar. I was really impressed. It took me some time to put it all together. I was really upset that it got banned. Damn it. But I was like, that's what I want to see, is where they're all kind of like mixed in together. And like I had Mary singing over an M beat. I had Kendrick Lamar rapping over a Snoop beat, right? Like, so it was just, I was very happy with myself.
I'm excited, Tone. I'm supercharged about the Super Bowl halftime show. This is a show that I haven't been excited about in a long time. When I heard Prince was rocking, I was excited about that when Prince was rocking. Because Prince puts on a show, no question about that. When I heard Janet Jackson and Timberlake were going to be on, I was like, okay, that's going to be dope, right? When I heard Beyonce is, for lack of a better term, Tone, she is fantastic. The only thing that I can think about when she's just fantastic. She is, if she's in my city, I haven't seen her live, but I would love to see her live. She is fantastic. But when I think about Mary J, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and by the way, Kendrick Lamar, oh man, we're talking about hit after hit. And it's in the halftime show. Let's make sure we remember, Tone, we do have a football game going on. We might forget about that for a second because, like you just said, the halftime show, these kids are going to find out who your mom is. Because when your mom drops it, you're going to be like, what? Mom, what you doing? Well, I wasn't always your mama. Let's make sure we clear
Mama looks at you and be like, Dr. Dre, you little punk.
Yes, sir.
So here's the thing. So some of the people you mentioned, Beyonce, I said Lady Gaga, Prince, they put on big shows. I'm curious to see, because when you think of kind of Eminem, Dr. Dre, you think of great music. I don't know that you necessarily think of big, grand,
like a
production. So that's another part that I'm curious to see how that goes. So we're gonna get to who's gonna be your MVP, but who's gonna be your halftime show MVP? Is there gonna be someone who steals the show?
Who steals the show? I think Mary steals the show. I do. I think Mary J. Blige. I've seen Mary J. Blige in concert, and she is great. She is absolutely fantastic, and I think she's going to steal the show because she's got so many hits, and she's probably only going to rock for a couple of minutes, but I think she's the showstopper.
She gives me real love. Then she wins.
You know she is.
Now, listen, I'm biased because I love you, Mary. I'm biased but I'll say this, and I'm not just saying this. I really believe it. I'm not knocking. I have them all as 10s. I think Kendrick Lamar steals the show. I think people. I'll say this. I'll say people our age know the other ones a lot better than they know Kendrick Lamar. However, I listen to a lot of Kendrick Lamar, and I'm telling you, he's going to be introduced. The kids know him already. The younger people know him already. The older people who were listening to Snoop and M, and they're going to be like, "Damn, he's good." So I think he's gonna have that moment that everyone goes, "Wow!" Right? Yeah. The kids already, and the kids will be like, "See, told you, our stuff's better." I hate to say it, but you know what? He might. And look, I'm not knocking it, but they are older too.
Yeah.
Right, they're old. Like I saw Snoop, he looks a little. He's still rocking. Don't get me wrong. A bit older.
Trees that do that though. So
yeah. So I feel like Kendrick Lamar is gonna be like the Joe Mixon. He's gonna come in and like lock it up. So
lock it up. That's fair.
Yeah. All right. So let us know. I want to know from everybody else who's listening, who's watching, whatever. In the comments, who is going to rock the show? Who's going to be the MVP of the halftime show?
We gotta make sure we let Mrs. Tone know got to keep Mary J. Blige away from Tone because he might be cutting you off. If he ever
Mary
shows
J.
up. Just
Dawn
saying.
from En Vogue. There's a list. All right. So halftime is over. We're back. We're getting back to football.
Mm-hmm.
We already talked about Joe Mixon, so I'm going to cross him off your list
Mm-hmm.
when I ask this question. Who's the most important player
Jalen
in the
Ramsey.
Super Bowl?
I think it's Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Absolutely. I think Jalen Ramsey, because a lot of what Joe Mixon is going to do is going to be on the outside, looking for T. Boyd, looking for Higgins, getting Joe Mixon in the flat, right? So with T. Boyd, with Higgins, and with Jamar Chase, dealing with those guys, Jalen Ramsey's his ability to just cut the field in half and limit options, that's why that run game is going to be so important. Because with Jalen Ramsey limiting options, that run game has to work. Because he's going to do everything that he can to slow up Jamal. I have a difficult time, Tone, thinking that you're going to completely stop a guy, especially at that level. And the ability to just shut Jamar Chase down, I just don't see that happening. But to slow him down, right, and to slow down another option, a huge option that Joe Burrow has, that's going to be big for their defense. And I think Jalen Ramsey, he's going to be huge for what they're doing. Huge.
Do you think Jalen Ramsey is going to shadow Jamar Chase, or will they just put him on one side and say, you shut down this side, we'll take care of the rest?
No, I think he's going to shadow Jamar Chase because you can't let Jamar Chase just run wild and just leave Jalen Ramsey on one side of the field, because if that was the case, I'll just run to the other side of the field. It'll be just that simple. No.
The reason I ask is, like, so what if they say, hey, Jalen, okay, you got the right side, lock that down. And if Jamar's on the left, hey, we're just going to have safety help. We're going to, run some schemes. And because we're saying, Bengals, if you're going to beat us, you're going to only have half of the field to work with. Good luck making a game plan. Right? Do you think they can do that? Is Jalen Ramsey still that corner that can do that?
I think that.
And do you think they do that?
I think that he's still the corner who can lock down a side of the field, but letting Jamar Chase run in free space without having a guy like Jalen Ramsey just all over him regularly, I think that's a recipe for disaster, because he finds seams. Not only does he find seams, he gets his ability to get open, his ability to just beat guys on deep routes. You have to have your best corner shadowing him regularly. So I think that shutting the field in half and just having Jalen Ramsey on one side, that's not going to work.
Okay. All right, I heard that. I heard those options, so I wanted to put it out there to you. So I think it's interesting that I don't know that I'm going to give you no, it's my question. It's who's the most important player. However, it's really who's the most important players in my thought, because I'm not knocking Cam Akers. I think he's going to play a really important role. Sony Michel. However, when we think of the Rams, we don't think of a running team. We think of a passing team.
Yes, we do.
And I think how the Bengals secondary slows down, because they're not going to stop Cooper Kupp.
No, they're not.
They're just not going to stop him. They're not going to stop OBJ. But I think if they can limit, they really have to do that. Shout out to Lovie Smith, new head coach of the Houston Texans. They have to do that Lovie Smith like he did with the Bears, where it was like that cover two that was kind of bend, don't break, right? Let him get his yards, but don't let them break anything for a big touchdown. And when you're in the red zone, everything tightens up and you hold them to field goals instead of touchdowns. And so I think the Bengals secondary, because they've been talking a lot, right? They talked a lot, especially to Tyreek Hill specifically, right? Hey, like I think was Apple said, hey, I'll get you a ticket so you can make it to Super Bowl. Like, I like the, I'm on the fence. I'm always on the fence with this stuff. I like the confidence. You got to be a little bit cocky, but does he cross the line and give like added incentive? Does he become arrogant? We don't want arrogant, right?
We don't want any bulletin board material.
No, not this. Don't. Yeah,
like don't want that. No.
This week, just which is good. I haven't heard much because he was talking to the Chiefs, the team he already beat. I'm and OBJ and Cooper Kupp, I don't know, they don't seem like that type anyways. To me, that would be like, I don't see OBJ going, he said what to Tyreek Hill? Oh, okay. I don't. They just seem like, hey, we're gonna go out, we're gonna be professionals and do their thing. So I think the Bengals secondary is going to be really, really important. And here's the other thing. And I know you can't win or lose a game on one play. However, Matthew Stafford, for all the good he's done this year, for all the great stats he's put up for his entire career, he will give you a chance to pick him off. And if we remember the end of the regular season, he was throwing pick sixes. He was giving those out like they were Halloween candies. So he gives you the opportunity if you're in the right position and you can catch the ball, right? You're wearing your 49ers jersey, Again, I'm not saying that whole game was on that, but if Tart,
yes, sir,
catches that interception's big. So can the Bengals turn those deflected passes and those interception opportunities into actual interceptions? Because that's why I think they're the most important. Matthew Stafford will give you a chance. If you don't take advantage of it, he'll kill you. He'll kill you, right? So
whenever I think about Matt Stafford, what we're talking about right now, when I'm thinking about it, I think about Charles Woodson playing against the Bears, saying, quote, "We know who Jay Cutler is. He's going to throw us the ball. Just keep playing." Now, I know that's who you. I understand that's your Bears tone. I do understand that, but that's how I feel about Matthew Stafford. Just keep playing. He's going to let you back in the game. Don't worry. Just keep playing. He is going to let you back in the game. I promise you that. And I've said it before, Tone. I know who he is. How awesome he will be early. How awesome he will be maybe even in the middle. But at some point, do not worry. He's going to let you back in the game. And I think it's amazing how, as much as we talk about Joe Mixon being a Super Bowl MVP and Azuma and Joe Burrow, we haven't even mentioned quite possibly the best wide receiver in the game. We haven't even talked about him.
We're gonna talk about it right now. I just since you brought up Cutler, I'm trying to move out of the way so everyone can see my Cutler jersey. I love Jay Cutler. Listen, Jay Cutler could make every single pass, could make every single throw. That's a conversation for another day. All right. So you want to bring up Cooper Kupp? Let's bring up Cooper Kupp.
It's amazing, man.
Did any wide receiver have a better season than Cooper Kupp?
No.
So why is everybody disrespecting Cooper Kupp? Why do they all want him to be this X receiver that plays on the outside and to give him his flowers? Like, so you're telling me because you're a tremendous route runner out of the slot who triple crowned receptions, yards, and touchdowns, you're somehow not a good wide receiver? Like, oh, well, I'd still take Devontae Adams over him. I would still take D-Hop. I'd still take Justin Jefferson. Not this season, you wouldn't.
You would not. And
if you can honestly look back and say, for the 2021 season, I would take any other wide receiver over Cooper Kupp because Cooper Kupp can't do this or can't do that. That's dumb football, right?
It is. Absolutely it is. Because if I'm not mistaken, Tony, I think Steve Smith in 2005 was the last guy to have a triple crown. And before him, it was Jerry Rice, and he won the league MVP. So we're talking about a guy in Cooper Kupp who he runs routes that aren't really describable except just to say, I'm just better than you. Because you can't really make sense of it when you see the routes that he runs and how he gets open. It's not like it's a situation where he's Terrell Owens, where I'm bigger than you and I'm just going to bully you. Or he's Jerry Rice, where he's running a slant and he's just super fast. And no, it's a slant. It's a hook. And I'm just better than you. I'm going to beat you to this spot.
You know what I find funny about this conversation? And look, I'm not saying I disagree. Like if I had a draft and I was drafting a team, would I probably take Devontae Adams over him? Yeah, probably for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Yeah, probably. But I keep saying we're not doing that. We're looking back at the season he had. So is he the biggest? No, but he is 6'3", 200-something pounds. So he's not a small receiver.
No, he's not.
But isn't it more impressive that he isn't the biggest, the strongest, the fastest, and he's just getting open?
Well, you got to remember,
people say, "Oh, he's always in the slot."
Yep.
So,
like, why is that a problem? And the reason why I'm asking why that's a problem, why is that a problem? Because nobody had a problem when Edelman was doing it, right? Nobody had a problem when the slot receiver, when Wes Welker was doing it. In fact, not only did they not have a problem with it, you praised it. Now all of a sudden, Cooper Kupp is in the slot and he ends up winning the Triple Crown. All of a sudden, well, he's not on the edge that much. I think that it's nitpicking. I completely think it's nitpicking. And I also think, Tone, last season, Cooper Kupp was real average. So he goes from real average last season to basically having
still 1,000 yards.
To basically having a breakout season. I mean,
okay.
that was his first 1,000-yard season.
Yeah.
We didn't get 5. right? So the other seasons, he was real average. So we go from that to having basically a breakout season. Sure. And now it's, well, is Cooper Kupp really the real deal? It's kind of like,
well, I had someone say, well, it's because of Matthew Stafford, because Matthew Stafford had the big yards with Megatron, and now with Cooper Kupp, so he's the constant is Matthew Stafford. So is Matthew. Listen, I think it's Matthew Stafford. I think it's Sean McVay, but I think it's a whole lot of Cooper Kupp.
Right.
And did you complain about Justin Jefferson 2 years ago when he was running like 90% in the slot?
Nope.
Now, yeah, he came outside and proved that he could be outside. But let me ask you a question. I relate a lot of stuff. No, let me stick with football.
Stick with football.
Let me stick with football. If I run for 2,500 yards, I rush for 2,500 yards and the most touchdowns as a running back, but I don't break any to the outside. It's all right up the middle, halfback dives. No one can stop me. I just go right up the middle. Is anyone complaining and saying, yeah, but he doesn't have that breakaway speed. He can't run sweeps?
Yeah.
Does anyone say he can't run sweeps? He can't.
Yeah, they are, Tony. You know who those people
are? They
are?
are?
Yeah, they're trolls. That's who those people are. Well, you can't run to the outside, right? You can't run up the sideline. Those called trolls. Just like if you didn't run up the gut and you ran outside. Well, you can't you can't break tackles. You can't beat the linebacker. Those are called trolls, Tone. So they're gonna nitpick and they're gonna find things to.
And let me roll it back. Sorry to cut you off. Let me roll it back. 2,500 is no 1,900. Okay, below the best, but still 1,900. Right. Sorry, because he didn't break the yard record, but he was close, right? So 1,900 yards up the middle. You're gonna still okay for you and me. Forget the trolls for a minute. Are you gonna say, oh, but he can't run outside? No, you're gonna say that's the best running back in the game. He rushed for 1,900 yards, and yet when this man has the triple crown, no one says he's the best wide receiver in football this year. And that I think I don't like that. So I don't know if this is the answer. Because the question, we went off on a tangent, but the question is, who? No, we're going to save it to the end because it'll give away who your winner is. So we can't. So let's start. Here's what we're going to do. It's 4 questions. Who's winning? Why and how are they winning? What's the score, if you dare? And who's the MVP?
So,
and I'm writing this down just so you know.
We'll start with who's winning.
Okay.
Who's going to win the game? I so want to pick the Bengals to win this game. I do. But the reason why I can't is because everything favors the Rams. It's in your building. You have the better quarterback. You have the better defense. You got the better defensive line. Everything is in your favor, which would actually be an opposite where everything is in your favor. I can pick the other team because everybody else is picking them. But ultimately, everything is in your favor. You got the better defense. You got the better quarterback. You have those things that are going to be factors for you. Now, with that being said, why do they win? I think that they win because they limit Matt Stafford's mistakes. I think Sean McVay puts Matt Stafford in a position where he doesn't make he doesn't have the potential to make a lot of mistakes. He's going to make mistakes. Let's make sure we're clear on that, Tone. He is going to make mistakes, but I think Sean McVay is going to put him in a position where he's not going to make a lot of mistakes. I think that defensive line, I think that's going to be a huge factor for the Rams. I think that pass rush is going to be huge. When I think about Von Miller and Aaron Donald disrupting what they do, I think that's going to be huge for them. But with all of that being said, Tone, I want to pick the Rams, but I think Cincinnati beats them.
But I wrote down Rams. You going Bengals?
I'm picking Cincinnati. I think that they're going to beat them.
How?
And I think that Joe Mixon is the MVP of the Super Bowl. And why do I think Joe Mixon is the MVP of the Super Bowl? Because I think that they contain that front line. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals run offense, I think, will be better than their defense in the Rams front four. And I think Joe Mixon runs all over them, and I think he opens up the offense. And I think Cincinnati wins the Super Bowl.
Do you have a score?
I think that it's a dogfight, Tone. I'm looking at 28-24.
I was really hoping you were going to pick the Rams.
Of course you were.
Because you made all the, but you did say something that we need to roll back because you're going to get killed in the comments. You said the Rams had the better defense and the better quarterback? No. Cincinnati has the better quarterback. Cincinnati has a better quarterback. Let's not get crazy now. All right. So you gave up. So I think you're right. I think Sean McVay will put him into a situation, Matthew Stafford, not the better quarterback. That is going to limit his mistakes. I think their defense is going to get after Joe Burrow. 100%. I think that's 100% accurate. I think they're going to get 7-8 sacks. But Tennessee got 9. However, this is why I wanted you to pick the Rams, because you have been preaching Bengals to me all season. So even though you said no one predicted them to be in the Super Bowl, although there's someone in my house who did make a bet and she's gonna cash out real nice if they win. Early on, she made a bet that the Bengals would win the Super Bowl, but she's a Bengals fan, so there's probably some bias there. All season long, you've been telling me, like, you picked the Browns to win the AFC North, but you said, but Bengals are going to be in the Super Bowl. I picked, there's not going to be in the playoffs, excuse me. I said it's going to be the Ravens and in the AFC North. But yeah, I don't know. I think the Bengals are going to be like 9-8, right? 10-7, maybe, which is good. Don't get me wrong, but just kind of a nice jump from their last year. But you kept telling me, watch this Joe Burrow kid, watch Jamar Chase, watch Joe Mixon. The other thing we did not talk about at all has been their defense, which has played really well against the Raiders. Everyone said, they played great, perfect, someone said, against the Raiders. They can't do it again against Tennessee. No, they played really good against Tennessee. Oh, well, they can't shut down the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to score 50 on them. No, they didn't do great, but they did enough to win. Heck, they picked off Patrick Mahomes in overtime to seal the deal, basically, and then Joe Mixon ran it down their throat. So their defense is really good. I really like their offense. They have a running game. They have weapons on the inside, on the outside. I'm picking the Bengals because I think Matthew Stafford will crumble under this pressure. And look, I've been wrong because I've said this every week, but I'm going to be consistent, and maybe this is a good sign for you, LA Ram fans, and say that he crumbles under the pressure a little bit. He tries to, because this is a team. This is a team. Like, who did the Rams play? Can we go through their week by week? They beat the 49ers. No offense. They're not like a big, deep threat, quarterback slinging it all over the yard, scoring a lot of points type of team. Right? They're kind of a run-first defensive team. The week before that, the Rams played the Bucks.
Tampa. Yeah, they played Tampa, who was depleted. Let's be honest. No Godwin, no Antonio Brown. It was really just Tom Brady and Mike Evans and a little bit of Gronk. And they did everything they could. They let them back.
Not in a position. No, like, say what you want about the Bucks, but when you look at that Bucks team, it's not the Bucks team that's going to drop 40 on you. The week before that, who they play in the wild card?
No wild card. They had the number 1 seed.
Oh, they had the number 1 seed. The Packers had the bye.
Right.
The Packers had. Who did the Rams play in the first week? So we got to go back. Our memories are sliding away from us. No, they played the Cardinals.
Yes,
they played the Cardinals.
They handled the Cardinals, correct?
And the Cardinals again missing their top wide receiver, not really in a position to score a bunch of points. Well, now they're playing a team that has Jamar Chase, that has T. Higgins, that has Tyler Boyd. Now that the more I think about it, the more I think they do want to get into a shootout with these guys, and who has Joe and has a running game. Because what happens is, if the Bengals because they can't start slow again, if they start off and they take a lead and they start throwing the ball and it's a shootout and you force Matthew Stafford to throw, he's going to throw you the ball. Much like Charles Woodson said about Jay Cutler. Don't worry, he'll throw you the ball. So that's why I'm going Bengals. Why? Because Matthew Stafford's going to throw them the ball. And I think they're going to just outscore them, and they have enough defense.
Since we're on that subject, Tony, you just mentioned throwing the ball. Remind the people at home again, who led the league in interceptions this season? This season,
the interception leader, numero uno, Matthew Stafford.
Yes, sir.
People seem to forget that because
they see nobody Cooper Kupp's.
They see Cooper Kupp's numbers.
Absolutely. Nobody threw the ball to the other team more than Matthew Stafford.
Well, that's the wide receiver's fault. They, it's not all interceptions are on the quarterback. Now, I agree with that.
I do.
I do agree with that. But It does on the stat sheet. It does. So when we look back, we don't say, oh, well, 14 of those 17 picks were tipped by the wide receiver and then caught. No, you just say he had 17 interceptions.
Yep.
That being said, I got the Bengals. I got them because they can outscore, I believe, the Rams. I got them winning 34-31 with a Money McPherson field goal to seal the deal.
A walk-off.
Walk-off. And your MVP
is,
with 2 interceptions and a pick 6, Mr. Apple. I think he's going to back up all this talk. It's going to be a DB. Maybe it's another one, but I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go with him. I think it's going to be a defensive player who picks off Matthew Stafford and takes one to the house.
There you have it, folks.
And that's going to be I'm not going to I was leaning Joe Mixon. But I'm like, I don't want he was my 2, and I thought, since you picked Joe Mixon, I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. I'm going to go with the defense. Of course, this is Friday. So we still got 2 days for you to put in the comments. Who do you think is going to win? Who's going to be your MVP? I want to do a prize or something if anyone gets it right. If someone in the comments gets it right, you get a $100 gift card to Fanatics.
Nice.
There you go. Fanatics. So you can buy a Super Bowl jersey. I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you could. Can you see the little?
You can see the Super Bowl emblem. Yes,
Super Bowl. We try to get as many Super Bowl jerseys as we can. All right. So, big plans for the Super Bowl?
No, it's food and football. That's just
food and football. As mine, and I will be food and football. And so on Monday, on TikTok at 8 p.m. live, we're going to be recapping the Super Bowl and taking your questions. But until then, enjoy the Super Bowl and
take it light, but take it.
Yes, sir.